Hello and welcome to Artifacts, a living archive dedicated to preserving the first-person stories of queer, avant-garde, and underground culture, told by those who lived it. Today's episode is part of our series Downtown Performance, produced in collaboration with NYU Skirball, spotlighting the radical artists who reshaped New York's theatrical underground. In this episode, we're honored to share a conversation with Kate Valk, a defining presence of the Wooster Group since 1979. After arriving in New York at 19 with little exposure to the arts, Valk found her way to the company through Stella Adler's classes and the Wooster Group's workshops at NYU. Welcomed by Elizabeth LeCompte, she became indispensable both on stage and behind the scenes, eventually emerging as one of the troupe's most singular performers. Across 4 decades, Valk has appeared in nearly every Wooster Group production, including Route 1 and 9, Hamlet, The Hairy Ape, Brace Up, and Dr. Faustus Lights the Lights, helping shape the company's distinctive language of performance. She has recently expanded her work into directing, continuing her evolution within one of the most influential experimental theater ensembles of the last half-century.
You know, for me, I'm kind of like a lower middle class gal who didn't have a lot of culture in the household, TVs in every room. So I knew pop culture, but I didn't know a lot about art. I came to New York and I was 19, I guess, and I was in Department of Drama, NYU, and it was the studio program because the theater school was too competitive for me. And so there, of all the studios, there was Uta Hagen and Strasberg and Adler, and I was just attracted to the Adler studio because she spoke a lot about physical circumstances. She thought the Strasberg method was creating a generation of neurotic actors with all the emotional recall, and she claimed she had gone and had a special meeting with Stanislavski and later in his life, and she understood his method. And she thought, you've either done it or you can imagine it. And that you don't have to incur a kind of psychological trauma or recall difficult things. But I had this gnawing anxiety at the end of my 2 years there that I really didn't want to be an actor and get a picture and a resume and try and get work. I didn't have that kind of ego to try and get a job that way. I was looking for a place. I wanted to work. I had to do 1 semester extra because I was a transfer student. And they had this new program, Experimental Theater Wing. The semester I was there at ETW, the Wooster Group were teaching artists. So I met Liz and Spalding and Ron, and Willem was around the edges. They made a piece with us at NYU's spaces at 721 Broadway. They had renovated an old beautiful factory building. And there was this very long room. There were windows on one side and 3 doors. And Liz immediately said, oh, this is fabulous. We'll make a room around each door, and 3 different things can be happening in the 3 different rooms. And stuff can also happen in the hallway, and the sound will be driven by whether the door's open or shut. I mean, it was so brilliant right away that her relationship to the architecture, the space. And so that really blew my mind right away. I was just so excited by the work and by Liz, who to me was the most amazing person. Everything to Liz was aesthetic, everything. So I came down and I met Liz, and of course I was very nervous. I said, I'd like to volunteer. And she said, what can you do? I was like, oh, well, I can sew. Because my mother was a very good seamstress, not professional, home seamstress. And so she had taught me how to sew. I knew how to sew. So I felt confident to say that I can sew. And Liz said, oh, would you duplicate this dress? Because she had the beautiful blue satin gown that Libby wore in Rumstick Road. She needed a copy made of it. So that was my first job. I duplicated the blue satin dress. And of course, to me, I was like, oh my God, I'm making a blue satin. And so it was like, I think I stayed up for like 2 nights making this dress. And see, that's the other thing that really connected me with Liz as an artist, is that everything, every prop was meaningful, and she had a hand in it. It was part of the grand design. Objects are imbued with a lot. I guess I came in 78, 79. 1980 was when the group incorporated. My mind was blown. It was like finding it, you know, like finding the art, the thing that turns you on so much. The group was small, and so everybody did everything. I mean, I insulated with Ron, we insulated the upstairs of the theater, and you know, I like to say, first you pretend you're a theater company, then you become a theater company, then people come. I started to think that the younger people that were coming to work with us, oh my God, they actually have skill. They're maybe more interested in a career or working outside. I had to leave the room, and then they voted me in. Liz and Spalding and Ron and Jim Clayburgh, and who was a designer with the group, and he had been around the garage and worked with Schechner before. And Peyton Smith, very important, Peyton Smith. Willem, he was in like a theater in Milwaukee, Theater X, so he had worked with Schechner too. People were just discovering he was good on film, so he was working with Monty Montgomery, Catherine Bigelow. He started making films and still managed to work with the group a long time. Well, you know, Willem's film career did not happen overnight. I guess maybe the movies got bigger and the time was longer that he was away, and so the pressure was greater on him. That in the beginning, when he was making smaller films, he wouldn't be away for so long, and it would be easier to integrate him back into the work when he came back. And Liz is the one who kept up. I mean, we all did, but he could always come back and be in the work. And he could go off and make movies, and we would keep a place for him because it was mutually beneficial. First, she likes people to be happy and do what they want to do. And if somebody really wants to go off and make a TV show or a movie, well, she would never want to stop them. Why would she do that? She wouldn't go, you're fired. She allowed that, but the smart part of that is there was so much people came back with, ideas and stories and people. It was a very good time. Spalding was an enigma to me. If he told you his story, you heard everything, all the details. There was something unknowable about him. To me, when I was young and I'd be around Spalding in the work, I was amazed that his life, his interior life, the life of his mind was so huge that I felt like maybe only a part of him was here working with us. But the one constant is Liz through all the work. Liz is very elusive. She's a paradox. She doesn't want any attention, and she wonders why she doesn't get all the attention, because she wants all the attention, but she doesn't want any of the attention because she doesn't want to define herself. And that's a very interesting aspect of her as an artist. She doesn't want to define herself because then she feels trapped. That's who she is, and she wants to always be free so she can go anywhere she wants to go in her imagination. It's not that somebody decides we're going to change the structure. It comes organically through the work. I like to think of it like a new constellation of people, and it makes a different night sky because the constellation is different. It's not like she cleans the slate and says, okay, for this project we need these people. She works with people and it's because they want to work with her and she's interested in their persona. Spalding Gray put it in relation to working with Liz that they're not actors, we're not actors, we're human material. And the play is the vehicle, but what Liz is engaging with is who you are as a person and what she sees you like to do or want to do, or where she can push you further. Like, for instance, when we were working on Frank Dell's Temptation of St. Anthony, I was really great in rehearsal. I was helping her on stage editing the script, and I had a kind of intensity. And then we went to perform, and I didn't know what I was doing. And it was the first show was so terrible. Liz was in, she wouldn't come down out of the booth. She was just lying there in the embryo position. And Richard Foreman said, well, why don't you get somebody else? And she was like, what? Like, I'm gonna fire Kate and get somebody good? It was the investment in the whole story of the company and the whole story of us. And of course, we found our way out of that morass. But it did take a while, but she never gives up on something. And she told me once, if you just keep imagining it, if you just keep loving it and seeing it in the way you want to see it, you'll find your way out of the woods. Part of the reason I feel that Wooster Group performances have that immediacy is because Liz is at every show and she's taking notes. I think, how do people do plays where the director leaves after opening night? I mean, don't you feel lost or something? And so Liz, she is there at every show, she's taking notes, and she keeps tweaking and changing, so she'll keep you alive. It'll keep it present. And then, of course, she loves to set up the space. Back earlier, when we had a little more time, there would be long periods where we'd be reading the play one part of the day, and then the other part of the day would be something that made the room kinetic. Like when we were working on To the Birdie, which was our version of Racine's Phaedra, again, adaptation, translation, Paul Schmidt. She was lost. She didn't really know what the style would be for the performance of the language. And so we played ping pong for a while, and then we played badminton. And then the badminton really stuck because it was the court. Then it was all the rules about badminton, and so the metaphor of the court with the invention of tennis in Louis XIV's time. You see, with Wooster Group pieces, the best part of our process is the really long R&D period. Everyone's in the room who's involved in the project. The sound artist, the video artist, the performers, whoever's working technically, where the group is in the room, and there's a long period where she's drawing things up. She's open to things about the playwright, about the time period, about things that are happening currently in the world that relate to what we're doing. So it's a time of calling forth or calling in, or things come in. And I feel like not a lot of people get to do that when they work on a play. There's a shared vocabulary with people in the room. When Liz is in the room, she's always the master because she pushes everything further than anybody else does. The idea of Liz being the center of the work is very interesting because I've been thinking a lot about that. Is that a good model, that there's a center and things are around it? It's more like a seesaw, or I feel like there oftentimes is very horizontal playing field, and then it goes very hierarchical, and then it goes flat again. The answer could come from anybody, but then boom, all of a sudden, no, the answer comes from the top, Liz, and then she's like, I don't know. And she like it flips down until it's flat open playing field, and she'll be like, well, I don't know, what do you think? And to an intern, and I feel like in her room too, anybody can shoot an arrow if you're willing. Oh, that's the other thing about working in the group. You have to be willing to offer something up and be rejected, and you have to be okay with that. And I think, I don't know, but I hear they teach collaboration at schools, which I find very interesting. And I sense there's a politeness that is kind of an anathema to collaboration, I feel, where, okay, we have the sound person, the lighting person, the video person, the actors, and everybody gets their say. Well, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And there's like, it's just not polite. I mean, collaboration is messy, and you have to be brave, and you have to be fearless, and you have to be willing to hear like, no. Time was different. It seemed like there was more of it. I feel like psychically, New York is kind of tight, like the premium on real estate and time and money and security, it's different. Soho was emptier, and there was a lot of psychic space. People were doing things in basements on unused floors of buildings, and you could go to a restaurant and say, could we rehearse in your basement? Yeah, sure. You can keep your stuff down there too. Like, bands were rehearsing everywhere. It was different in that way. And I feel like all of us that gravitated towards Liz and the Garage and the group, we were excited by all the dismantling of boundaries between all the art forms. Dancers were talking. Non-dancers were dancing. The mundane was strange, and video was new. Can you imagine? I don't think anybody was really interested in a career. The best thing for me about working with the group and working at the Garage is the criticisms and the accolades can come and go, but I still have keys to the theater. It is very rare, and that gets you through the hard times when you think, or when I think, let me speak for myself only, I can't do this anymore. I think, well, God, there's no other room like that. The Performing Garage is an amazing place because it's very intimate, and because it has a tin ceiling, so it's very live, and there's a lot of ghosts, and theater is about ghosts. Every time you do Hamlet, you're calling up all the other Hamlets. And, well, yeah, there's so much has gone on in that space. You know what I love about the Performing Garage? Okay, we have the Performing Garage because it's part of an artist co-op. Richard Schechner and his cohorts, when he was working in theater at NYU, came down to Soho and somehow met people, artists that were making Fluxus House number 3. And that's the Grand Street Artists Co-op. It's 3 residential loft buildings on Grand and the Performing Garage. It makes a square lot of real estate. So artists get together, they pay the back taxes, they rehabilitate. There was the AIR zoning, artist in residence, so Soho's zoned for manufacturing, so artists now can live and work in these loft buildings. And so that's how we've been able to exist. We don't pay rent to a landlord, we pay maintenance to an artist co-op. But what I love about the Performing Garage is literally 3 I-beams, a roof, and a facade. The walls are the buildings next door, so I love that it's almost not even real. Like, it's not even really a building. It's just existing somewhere in between.
Artifacts is a free oral histories platform. Please like, subscribe, and visit our website, www.artifacts.movie, for an ad-free, interactive experience with bonus content. If you're able, please make a tax-deductible donation at www.artifacts.movie. www.artifacts.movie/donate. Hit the link on screen to watch another Artifacts interview.